Good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are joining from. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers of this webinar series for inviting me to be a partner of it. And I also would like to thank Professor Mitchell of RMIT, Professor Ekranaka of University of Peradeniya, and Mr. Fernando of Yarra Valley Water for being partners of this webinar on sensing, digitizing, and water 4.0. So the topic of my presentation today is sensing paradigms for water quality in water 4.0. So the reason why I use 4.0 uh, is that it is related to the industry 4.0 paradigm with the technologies emerged uh, in the industry 4.0 paradigm. We can harness that the powers of those technologies to improve the water quality estimation methods. So let's look at bottlenecks of the existing water quality measuring schemes. Um, if you take a typical scenario in a country like Sri Lanka, so generally people go to the field and collect water samples, and then they bring them to the uh, central lab where the analysis of the water sample is done, and then results are dispersed either through emails or sometimes it may be through papers, so that uh, the the time delay between the collecting the sample and final outcome go to a place where decisions can be made are like long, so the process is slow, and then it is also less penetrative in the sense that the the places where you can or laboratories where you can analyze the samples are not widespread. So these samples has to be transported, and then if you take samples from a remote area, it takes a longer time. As a result, the penetration is also low, and the existing methods are difficult to scale because if I want to multiply the number of samples tested by like 10 times, you need considerable amount of this capital investment. Without that, you can't do it using the existing methods of water quality measurements. And then you have these equipments are relatively expensive, as well as they need some specific chemicals in certain cases. That makes it relatively expensive. And then uh, when it comes to integrating into decision support system, um, the existing water quality measuring schemes, if you look at them, they have a certain amount of manual operations. So when you have those manual operations, which is not fully automated, integrating them to the decision support system is somewhat difficult, or sometimes it may be slow, and sometimes it may be error prone as well. So because of those reasons, we need another sensing paradigm for water quality estimation. And then I'm going to discuss the enabling technologies that drive water quality estimation in water 4.0 era. So uh, first of all, you have artificial intelligence and big data. Since 2010, with the emergence of this ImageNet, the AI field has developed a lot in the artificial intelligence. What it does is it tries to mimic the human brain to a certain extent by analyzing or using huge amount of data, and then you have different algorithms, mostly deep learning algorithms, which can absorb large amount of data, and then when it comes to a new uh, new image or new sample or new scenario, it can derive the status of that sample by using the training it had with the previous samples. So it has to be the AI is effective if you can train it with large amount of data. This AI big data evolution is only possible because of the advancements in the computing power. So if you look at this graph, since 2010, the number of cores inside the microprocessor or CPU has like increased by 10 folds. So that the amount of computing it can done at a per second has increased, and also there are improvements in the number of transistors as well as number of cores inside the processor. So that huge computing power make it possible to process this large amount of data need to be processed in AI. And then you may all aware that the advancements in the smartphone technology has revolutionized the way we do our business and day-to-day businesses, and that can also be also applicable to the water quality estimation as well. So the relative performance of smartphones has increased by sometimes more than 10-fold since early 2000s, and that includes the processing powers, the quality of the sensors, and things like that. And then these new smartphones are equipped with large number of sensors. So they have a huge large number of sensors, and I think it is prudent that we investigate how we can harness the powers of these sensors to make our life easier, such as water quality estimation in current era. So then there is Internet of Things, which integrates all these. In one side, you have these smartphones, and all these phones can be we can have different mobile apps, and then there are different large number of sensors available, distributed, and there is a communication network mainly driven by fiber optics, which integrate all these sensors, smartphones, and then servers and other computing equipment. So this whole thing can be a part of a decision support system for the water quality estimation. And the sixth technology is somewhat like different in the sense that um, here earlier ones are specifically like multi-dimensional things. The remote sensing, we are looking at imaging targets. It can be through satellites or through drones. But in this case, I am specifically focusing on satellite imaging. So in the past 1 to 2 decades, the quality of imaging that can be obtained through satellite sensors has increased to the extent that it can image ground targets at a spatial resolution of half a meter in commercial satellites, up to half a meter or less sometimes. And then the spectral resolution can go up to like 200 plus spectral components. So as a result, um, it is possible to examine ground targets at a higher spatial resolution and with higher spectral resolution as well. With the spectral resolution, we can obtain large amounts of data about the target. So these 6 technologies combined can be a part of water quality estimation in water 4.0 era. So I'm going to discuss several case studies here. The case studies, one is remote sensing based system. So take a freshwater reservoir where you have, let's say, clean water, but due to pollutions, you may get algal blooms inside this reservoir. So generally, if you are going to use water from this reservoir for drinking, it should be purified. And purification system, it can be adaptive, such that depending on the quality of the water, the amount of chemicals is going to use can be changed, or we can also change the type of chemical as well. So uh, the purification system, uh, output of the purification system is clean water. And if you can have an adaptive purification system where you um, measure the water quality, and then depending on that, you can change the amount of chemicals as well as the types of chemicals. So if you are doing this for a large geographic area, rather than collecting samples from each reservoir frequently, uh, if we can obtain satellite images of these water bodies with a large number of spectral components as well as with higher spatial resolution, and then if you can develop AI algorithms, uh, those algorithms uh, can predict or estimate the chemical component of these water samples or water available in the reservoirs, and that information can be sent to purification systems as an early warning, and then accordingly purification systems can adapt itself to deliver water purification effectively. So actually these kind of things, uh, at least part of it has already been done. So I would like to share some results appeared in the European Journal of Remote Sensing. The title of the work is Monitoring Water Quality in Two Dammed Reservoirs from Multispectral Satellite Data. So you can see that the in situ measurements as well as satellite estimation are very close when it comes to the turbidity and SDD. And then still with regard to chlorophyll A also, the values are relatively close. So this proves that we can actually obtain, analyze, do the chemical analysis of water samples through remote sensing satellites. This is another such example. This is a paper appeared in Water Journal. So title is Monitoring Coastal Chlorophyll Concentration in Coastal Areas Using Machine Learning Models. So here you can see that the observed and the estimated chlorophyll levels are highly correlated. And so with how we can apply this system, let's look at this multispectral satellite image. This is the satellite image of Kandy, the city where I live, and so a single shot from satellite can cover large amount of area, geographic area, where there are large number of water bodies. So this image is around like 20 or 30 square kilometers, and the images has like 9 spectral components at half a meter resolution. So if you can develop algorithms to estimate the quality of the water using these images, we can do it much faster than doing it manually and transporting samples to laboratories. I mean, you can easily obtain the water quality parameters of this geographic area, let's say within 1 hour, depending on the speed of the algorithms. So it depends on the AI algorithm as well as computing power used to run those algorithms. And so it is fast and scalable, because satellites are like large number of satellites are revolving around Earth every day, and you can um, sample or take images of the same location over and over again in like very frequent intervals. So let's go to the second case study. We are discussing about mobile device sensor based system. As I mentioned earlier, there are a large number of sensors available in modern smartphones, including camera, light sensor, thermometer, then you have microphone, gyroscope, accelerometer, magnetometer, and then proximity sensor. And some high-end phones have infrared cameras, then flood illuminator, ambient light sensor, and things like that. So this sensing sensors available in mobile phone can be harnessed to be a part of water quality estimation system. So let's look at how it can be done. So here you can see initially you have to illuminate the samples, water samples, either through sunlight or ambient light or using phone flashlight or probably using halogen lamp. If you are doing it in the field, it should be mostly sunlight. So there are three modes of operation we are going to discuss. In one mode, you send the light through the sample and obtain the modulated light output. And in the second method, we illuminate the sample and then obtain the light generated by the sample. We call it fluorescence or fluorescence. And then the third method, we illuminate the sample and obtain the light reflected from the sample. So we call it modulated light. Then you send this modulated light through a grating element. Yeah, it can separate the input light into its spectral components, and then that can be sent to the image sense of the mobile phone and obtain the spectral signature of this sample. And then the spectral signature of the sample actually contains information about the chemical composition of the sample. So if you have large number of samples with known chemical composition, and then if you obtain those the spectral signatures of those samples, those spectral signatures can use to train AI modules. Then in turn, if you get a new sample, new spectral signature, the AI module can predict the chemical composition of this new sample. So when you consider the liquid samples, mostly we use the absorption spectroscopy where the light is passed through the sample. And then this is actually an implementation of such system. So you have an accessory to the mobile phone. So if you take this system, you have this light input light passing through the sample, and then it passes through a system of lenses and then eventually focused onto a diffractive grating where the input light is separated into its spectral components, and that spectral signature then can be passed to a external server if necessary through a mobile app, and there you can actually run all those AI algorithms and give an output regarding the chemical composition of the sample. And then the third case study, if you take the earlier system, the smartphone is actually a part of the sensor because we use smartphone camera as part of the sensing system. But then you can have a case where as given here, the sensor is external and the smartphone only appears acts as a communication interface where an app is running on it, and then probably this app can either generate data information, generate the results in the smartphone itself, or it can forward that information to external server and obtain relevant information. So this is actually a very recent paper appeared on One Earth journal. And then how we can incorporate IoT system into this water quality estimation. So it's like IoT system architecture of a water quality parameter estimation system. So you have smartphone based sensor, which I discussed earlier. So you have multispectral imaging system and smartphone captures images, and then there can be an app running inside the smartphone which can send the images to a database through cloud. So there's a server that runs algorithms, AI algorithms, so that the server can analyze the images and output the water quality parameters, and then the communication is done through cloud. So this forms an IoT architecture where we can have the water quality estimation system, and then decision support system can be also integrated to here. So you can, like, one way is when the server obtains its information, it can send the results back to the original mobile phone, as well as it can send that information to, let's say, different purification plants, as well as people who are in the decision making position, so that they are updated instantaneously. And if there is any irregularities or like some adverse reports, they can act immediately rather than waiting. So let's take about the advantages of these systems I discussed earlier. So as we discussed, those methods are fast and penetrative. So you can actually, if you take smartphone-based system, the information can be, like, images can be instantaneously transferred to the central database and obtain the results very fast within, let's say, 1 minute. And then with that information can be sent to multiple places so that the update is instantaneous. And then this can be done. You don't have to have access to a like lab close by. In any remote area, if you have communication facilities like communication accessibility or coverage, this can be done fast. And if you take the remote sensing based method, it is even faster, because like a single image or set of images taken within, like, let's say like 1 hour can be analyzed, and then those results can be again conveyed with the coordinates to relevant places. And if you take these methods, the running cost is not much. Once you implement this system, there are no like chemical agents needed, or physical labor is also minimal. As a result, the running cost of these systems are not very high. The implementation stage, there may be some cost to develop algorithms and to set up these communication networks and things like that. So these methods are chemical free, this environmentally friendly. So as I mentioned earlier, we can distribute the information, in real time. And then we can have adaptive water purification systems which acts upon the information sent by these sensing systems. So this we can increase testing frequency like multifold. And if you take satellite remote sensing based systems, they can cover large geographic area in a single shot, and it can also image frequently. As a result, the testing frequency is increased, and the adaptive systems can be updated frequently. So this is actually the end of my presentation. So thank you for listening to this presentation, and if you have any questions, you can ask them in the Q&A session. So thank you very much.